I'm going to go with the thought that just popped in my head. How about parental engagement?
Okay.
When we look at kids and we just put kid A, B, C, and we went down the list. And if you had 50% of those kids who had active, involved, engaged parents, those kids are going to be probably 90 to 100% successful. And then when you go down the other list and they had parents that weren't engaged, you're probably going to have 50% or less that are going to be successful. And they're going to do it because they're gritty kids that are tough and they're going to show up and they see the advantage and they go, you know what, I'm not going to be that. So I'm just going to get after it and get it done. So for me, I would say that parental engagement, if we could somehow snap and have every parent go, hey, I want to have a conversation regarding my kid's school today. I want to ask them questions on what they're learning. I want to encourage them. I want to come to the school whenever there's events that are going on and ask teachers questions and be present and involved. And if we had 90% parental engagement, everything we do would be amazing.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Brighter Together podcast. My name is Janet Courtney, and my guest today is Chris Mason. Chris is the superintendent at Quitman ISD in Quitman, Texas. Chris, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Yeah, very excited to be here and get to talk a little bit of all things education.
Awesome. So tell me what is happening. I know. So today, just so everybody knows, it is September 3rd, 2025. And this will probably be 6-8 weeks before it comes out. So we'll be past the crazy at the beginning of the year. But we said, boy, it is a busy time of the year. So what is happening in your world, Chris?
Yeah. So much like I guess across the nation, Texas is about week 3 into public school starts. And so, last Friday night was our first home football game. And especially in Texas, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Small town. So for us at Quitman, we have about 1,230 students. That classifies us as a 3A school district here in our state. And so 220 employees. And like everyone else, it doesn't matter how many kids or how many folks are in the building. The first 3 weeks of school tend to be a little hectic, trying to get all the routines in place and answer questions about pickup and drop off. And, hey, what do I need to have for this class or that class? And Texas has just recently banned cell phones in the school building. So we got to push that out to start the school year with. And I'll brag on our students and staff. And I'll knock on wood at the same time, but we don't have any issues with it whatsoever.
Oh, that's
And
fantastic.
it's actually, I think, a really good thing for our students that during lunchtimes, during our kind of tutoring periods, they have an opportunity to talk to each other. Really, they're captive audience and they have to be able to talk. And so we're seeing a lot noisier lunchrooms. And so I've joked about having to have maybe some hazard pay for some teachers' ears, but it's been good. So for us, it's all those things, setting routines. We're big on building relationships with kids. So getting back in the practice of in between class periods, teachers being in hallways, getting to know kids' names and saying hello and letting them make sure they know that they're seen. A big push for us is that the 8 hours, 10 hours, sometimes 12 or more hours that a student's on campus, we want it to be the best time they have of their day. And so kind of getting back in the swing of that, poor teachers going, okay, I got to get my voice back, my teaching voice back, and all those little things that happen day to day. And, fun dealing, okay, hey, bus routes, nope, we don't pick you up until this time and all the stuff that comes with it. So a great start of the year. It's been really smooth, but also all the parts are starting to move. And so we're trying to just hang on and let this thing get going.
Right. And so are you guys, and you may have said this and I missed it, pre-K through 12th grade?
Yeah, pre-K through 12th grade. We have also have a employee daycare that we're responsible for. So we have about 20 kiddos of employees in our daycare. And so really from 3 years old all the way to 18, 19 years old, we're going to deal with you. So.
Wow, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. So how long have you been superintendent there?
Yeah, this is going on year 3.5. So I was hired in 2023 in January. I had been previously in the district already as the assistant superintendent. And so I actually started with the district in 2019. I'd been a high school principal and a junior high principal prior to that, and got on in 2019, and didn't have a normal year until about 22, 23 school year, because we went through our little COVID spell and all the
Mm.
fun that was.
Oh, yeah,
I
right.
just kind of starting to get my feet under me, and then we went to spring break 1 week earlier than everybody basically in Texas. And as I was on spring break, I was hearing news and we were seeing things, and so we came back into kind of ahead of the game, and were able to respond pretty well, I think, to the COVID-19 crisis and all the things that brought for about a year and a half, 2 years here in Texas. And so it was a wild ride, to say the least.
Yes.
And then,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I have been the superintendent since 2023 in January, and it's been awesome ever since. And we just try to,
Yeah.
like I said, continue to build relationships with our community. We did pass a $30 million bond in
Oh,
May,
nice. Mm-hmm.
and so we're in the process of all that stuff, dealing with architects and construction folks, and getting
So
on the
you're building. What are you building?
yeah, no, so we kind of piecemealed, and we're touching a little bit of everything in our school district.
Okay.
So adding
Awesome.
some classrooms to our elementary, which is growing and outgrowing its space. So adding
Mm-hmm.
8 classrooms over there. We're adding 4 classrooms to our junior high space. We're remodeling a locker room that hadn't been touched since 1960.
Wow.
This is how bad it is. There's no vents in there, so it's just you just got all of it that just stays in there. So we're going to remodel that and let that be our girls'
Mm-hmm.
locker room. And then we're adding a field house to an existing weight room. And then the one I'm really, really excited about is we're having a 20,000 square foot career tech center that'll hold
Wow.
all of our ag vocational sciences. And then we have a pretty healthy medical science pathway. And we're really excited that will be 2 classrooms and then a live lab space where they'll have hospital beds, and it'll look like a hospital when they walk into it. So very excited about that space. Should be about 18 months completion time, so I wish it would go faster.
Yeah,
So we
right.
thing and rocking and rolling, but we've got some poor, kids who are juniors and seniors that probably won't get to see it
Oh,
in
yeah.
fruition,
Mm-hmm.
and they're a little bummed, but we got the younger groups coming in that are really excited to see all of it too. So
Yeah, they built a brand new middle school right behind our house. Like literally, like there was our house, the alley, and the house on the other side across the street. Brand new, beautiful middle school. I started high school the year it opened.
that's about right.
That's just about how it goes, right? Yeah. So I don't even ever think I stepped into it. It's a beautiful. It's in Grand Island, Nebraska, and that's been okay. So it's 30 years old now, right? 40 years, whatever. I graduated in '85, but so I just had 40 years ago. So the building's 40 years old now. It's not brand new anymore.
Oh, that when we went out for bond, we joked, and a lot of people call our elementary the new elementary because it's been renovated. But I had to remind them, I'm like, hey, our new elementary was renovated in 2000, and so
Yeah,
when we're having the
25 years
conversation,
ago.
it's already 25 years old on the new stuff that was added. That's not
Mhm.
all the bones that were built in 1955.
Right.
Still there. And so, I think one thing that we do well in public ed is use what we have, and we're very good stewards
Hmm.
of what we have, because we get what we get. And so
Right.
we try to be really, really good with the funds and uh the buildings and things that we have, because we know, hey, even when we build something new, hey, that thing's going to be there for 50 or 60 years plus. And so we want to make sure it's done well and fits the needs for not only today, but hey, what happens in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, because you'll blink and that's how quick it goes.
It does. It does. And kudos to the custodians because they are the ones that, man, they work at tirelessly cleaning up after those kids and our messes and all of that. And I don't think they get enough credit. I really
No, man.
don't.
Well, that's one thing we try to do is we call everybody educators in Quitman ISD. And so you may drive a bus, but you're still an educator. You may
Hmm.
be a custodian, but you're still an educator. And so we talk a lot about impact and that your day matters. And a lot of people get to go to jobs, and we get to go to mission fields and love kids and make their lives better. So
Are you struggling to keep speech therapy fully staffed or tired of high turnover? You're not alone. At Lighthouse Therapy, our speech language pathologists are seasoned professionals, and most of them have over 16 years of school-based experience. They're not just qualified, they're consistent, relational, and results-driven. We offer 3 flexible delivery models. virtual therapy, hybrid therapy, and in-person therapy. It's speech therapy done right for you and your students. Learn more at lighthouse-therapy.com/brighter together. Yeah. Yeah. It's never ending, is it? It's never ending. It's a good thing. It's the reason that we get up and breathe in and breathe out every single day. So what do you feel is your strongest support that you have for your teachers at Quitman? What do you think, and like as far as like how you handle things?
Yeah. I think really it comes down to great building leaders. So we're
Mm.
blessed to have a lead principal and an assistant principal on every one of our campuses.
Oh, nice.
And then our elementary campus is our largest campus. It has 600 kids. And so they have two assistant principals there as well. And really just providing them the space and the opportunity to give their teachers what they need. And we really try to lead collaboratively. It's not really a top down do it because I said so place to work. It is very much, hey, we see this information and we want to be data driven. And we're going to say, hey, this is what the data is telling us. This is what we're thinking. Give us some feedback. And so we try to provide those feedback loops pretty constantly. When I say constantly, sometimes it looks like daily
Yeah.
or weekly. And then we try to do some like district checkpoints where we're doing, middle of the year. How are things going? What do we need to do? And I think the biggest thing as a leadership team, what we really strive is what things can we take off teachers' plates that are getting in the way of what their main job is, and that's to educate children.
Right.
And if we can get that out of the way, what tools, what supports do they need to make sure they have so that they can do that main job? And we use leadership and teacher profiles here. And so at the very bottom of ours, it says keep the main thing the main thing. And so we stress all year long, like, hey, what is that? Well, for us, Quitman, it's educating every child, every chance, every day. That's our main thing. And so
Oh, nice.
everyone in our system, our 220 employees, have been told by me multiple times, you have every right to look at someone making a decision in that process and say, wait, is this best for kids? And if it's not, we're going to stop, rethink, and refocus and come back around to what's best for kids.
Yeah, you're living your mission. You really are
Right.
living your mission. It's so interesting that you say that because that's our mission is for the betterment of students. Like our mission is to be a therapy company run by therapists for the betterment of students. And I love how it rolls off of your tongue. What you do rolls off of your tongue, just like what I just said, because when you live it, it just becomes a part of who you are. And it's everybody in the company can say our mission. Everybody knows it. I'm sure the same is true where you guys are, which is so amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The kids, and then the kids win. And then the kids win.
That's ultimately, I think, what we're after. I grew up, you know, early on in my childhood, that poor white family that they were scraping. My parents were scraping by. I'm the oldest of three siblings, and outdate my brother and sister by 4 years and 5 years. And so
Yeah.
they grew up in I would say lower class, middle class society. Whenever I grew up and was younger than them, we were white trash is what we would be classified as.
Dirt
And
poor, right?
everything I had was hand me downs. I joke and say,
Yeah.
hey, I know what adding water to the ketchup bottles like. And so education was a great equalizer for me. And I was lucky enough to have a father. I tried to join the Marines twice. He was a Marine. Both times he grabbed me by the scruff of the neck and said, no, sir, you're going to college. And so sent me off to school. And I haven't really looked back since. And so I can see the power in education. And my focus as a public educator is public education, of course, but I know that's not the only pathway for folks.
No,
And
yeah. No.
I think the biggest thing is providing opportunities for kids to have choices. So when I'm 18 years old and I'm fixing to step off into the world, I at least have the ability and the choice to make of do I want to break chains or not. And so some not all of them choose that,
No.
but to have the opportunity to choose so is really what we're after.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Are your parents still around?
They are. They are. One
Awesome.
lives about 45 minutes from me, and the other about two, and so we get to see them pretty often and talk about all the fun times.
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing when you look back and you go, I just said 40 years. Wow, 40
Yeah,
years. What in the world? How did that happen? How does that happen?
totally. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
there was a high school reunion, like I said, and I did not go because Grand Island, Nebraska is very far from Corpus Christi, Texas,
Yeah.
and it's a trek. But
Well, to
you
be
know,
clear,
that's
anybody
fine.
that doesn't know Texas, Corpus Christi, Texas is far from a lot of places.
Yes, it is. It truly is. My sister actually lives in Alamo, which is in the valley of
Yeah.
Texas, which is that tip of Texas. And she's 3 hours south of Corpus. So you want to talk about being down? That's really down there. I remember when my mom passed away, we drove from Alamo, Texas to Grand Island because she was buried in Grand Island, Nebraska. God bless, rest her soul. Um, Dallas was halfway. Dallas.
Not
We
even
were
out of
still
the
in Texas and we were halfway there. So yeah, it was quite the trip. That's been 16, 18 years ago now, but yeah, wow. And here we are, I love Corpus. It's a beautiful city and it's, it's right on the Gulf of America and it's a lovely place to live. It really is. I'm blessed to be here. So no complaints for sure.
I
So
understand.
yeah. So if you were to have a group of superintendents or principals, let's talk about principals, a group of principals that were in front of you that are aspiring to be a superintendent, that are aspiring to grow into the shoes that you now fill, what kind of advice would you have for them?
I think one, I would say be a student of leadership.
Mhm.
Really, really start to hone in on what solid, effective leadership looks like. And the biggest thing I think is you move from being a principal into the superintendency, even as I walked myself through being a junior high principal, high school principal, and assistant superintendent, is understanding that every time you move into a different or maybe larger leadership role, that the buck stops with you. I always
Mhm.
joke, well, you want the big chair. Understand that you now are in a position where anything that goes wrong is your fault.
Yep.
Um,
Hmm.
whether it's not your fault or not,
It
eh,
is. It's
you have
always
to
your
own
fault.
every bit of
Yeah.
it, right? And so that accountability piece, I think, is a big
Mhm.
step in growing in your leadership. If you're being reflective, and you look at it and you go, well, you know what? Anytime I have some adversity, I look and go, well, so and so didn't do what I asked them to do.
Mm-hmm.
I would
That's
say you
placing
need to
blame.
pause and you need to be really reflective on that. And
Uh-huh.
um, my experience is people will be what you've allowed them to be.
Yeah.
And so, we really want to strive on when we see the positive things that we talk about happening, we want to praise that. And then when we see the things that we don't want, we're going to come alongside and have private conversations to go, hey, we need to be able to get better here. Let's get better in these areas. And
Uh-huh.
so growing in your leadership and then not being afraid to say, yeah, let me take it out on. At a 3A level with 1,200 students, 220 employees, as a superintendent, it's still really important that I understand basically top to bottom the education process and the program. So, I wouldn't say I'm the best expert in all of it, but I know how to talk gifted and talented, 504, special ed, assessments, curriculum. You have to have a pretty general knowledge of all of those things to be effective in the 3A level and down. And as you get a little higher, I think your biggest job is hiring smart people and letting them do their job. And that really, for me, would be the third thing is when you start to build a team and you get into the superintendency, don't hire people that are like you. Know
Mm-hmm.
your strengths and know your weaknesses. And if you know, hey, I'm not the most organized person, you better find that person that is, and then let
Mm-hmm.
them be that person. And so, um, every principal I've hired, um, in my experience, the biggest thing I tell them before I turn them loose with their keys is say, listen, you're going to have a lot of outward pressure to be whatever the last person was. They want you to be that same person. I said, I'm not hiring you to be that person. You're getting hired to be you. And
Mm-hmm.
so, let that be authentic and let that shine through. I think you probably know this, but being inauthentic will show up in everything you do fairly quickly. And then the kids are the best litmus test ever in the
Oh, for
history.
sure.
If you're not genuine, they can spot a fake awful quick. And so,
Mm-hmm.
um, for me, it's grow in leadership, be effective in it, look at it, read, learn, watch good leaders. And then if you've got a bad one, watch what they do and don't do the same things.
Mm-hmm.
And then just be reflective and have some general knowledge. Don't be afraid to learn and go, okay, well, I don't know a lot about career and tech education. Well, go to trainings, get your hands in it, learn, because I think you have to have good general knowledge to help make the best decisions for your district.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting. Just before we got on this podcast, we were dealing with some contract stuff, and we're a family company, so it was my daughter who I'm grooming to take my place, and our director of finance, and we were trying to get the right wording for what we were doing, and they looked at me and went, ChatGPT. So we went and we played around with Chat. I actually have a paid ChatGPT account. I'm learning, but it is an area you talk about. I don't know, and I have embraced it because you have to, right? You have to embrace what's happening with technology. You have to embrace what's happening in society, what's happening with these kids. They're growing up in it, but we didn't grow up in it.
Right.
So you have to learn and do. And I love the fact that you said don't be afraid to learn something new and keep stepping into it, because society is growing and changing so fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And AI has been a good conversation, probably in every realm of education that you can guess. And I laugh because I've been in education now. This is year start of 23, and
Mm-hmm.
so I'm old enough where I was in that generation before pre-cell phones, uh,
Yep.
and and then growing up and kind of going through that. But I've been in that classroom where someone, a math teacher said, "Hey, you got to know these things because you're never going to just have a calculator with you." Well, now we do.
Yeah.
Hey, you got to memorize all these facts. You're not going to be able to just look this up. Well, now we can. And
Yeah.
so the conversation is still around how do we teach kids to think and then act upon that thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And so even in now, we're having conversations with teachers and educators of, hey, they're going to use Chat GPT or AI in some form of fashion. So if you create a lesson that allows them to use it to that manner, just know they're gonna.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're gonna have to build things differently so that those 21st century skills, um, where they're gonna have to collaborate, they're gonna have to break some information down and analyze it, and then create something new. Like you're gonna have to get out of your comfort zone too, and the old lessons of, hey, here's 5 or 6 questions, give me short answers. Just know if that's all you give them, they're going to use ChatGPT on it because in their mind, they're like, why do I waste my time on this little stuff?
Right.
So
Right.
because that AI is so quick to answer those kind of lower level types of questions, which really, really behooves us as educators to go, okay, well, that makes it fun then because now I can pull you really up into the higher level learning and really
Executive
start making
functional.
your
Yeah.
ears a little bit. And that's something we stress with our teachers is at the end of the day, be reflective. If you finish a lesson and you're like, man, I'm whooped, you did it wrong. And so you should be finishing and those kids should be like, man, that was hard today. I'm tired. Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lesson. And so I think AI is a great opportunity. Something I've talked to my staff with all the time, and my concern with public ed and the parameters that we're stuck in sometimes is
Mhm.
I don't want to be Blockbuster and
Mhm.
sit and say, well, this is how we've always done it.
Right.
Uh, how we always done it is not going to be the same in 10 years, in 15
Yeah.
years. What things can we work on now to start implementing when we are allowed to change, when are allowed to pivot? That we are not behind the 8 ball and we're still providing progressive, state of the art, effective education for our kids.
Right. And it's so important because it's happening whether we like it or not. And I love the fact that you said Blockbuster because it's so true. You have to pivot. Even my own company, we're 7 years old and we are continuing to pivot and adjust and change as much as we possibly can, because what we do is support schools. So how do we support what you guys are doing to make sure that it's successful? It's just, I mean, and Brighter Together is a piece of that for sure. So, and I love doing it. That's the other piece of it. I love talking to leaders and see the perspectives of people all over the country, because it's, what's happening in Texas and what's happening in Maine and what's happening in California and what's happening in Wisconsin. The ultimate core is still the students, right?
Yeah.
We're still here for those kids. And
Yeah.
that's the most
Love that.
important part. Yeah. Yeah. And I've talked about that too. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on either. It's like whether you're liberal or conservative, Christian, non-Christian, none of that matters when we want to make sure that we're taking care of those students. And that's the most important part, right? So, yeah, I love that. So last question. If and I ask this of most people, not everybody gets it, depends on the conversation. Now I've learned to say that not everybody's going to have this question, but I think it's a good question for you. So, and it's not money, because we all know there's never enough money. Nobody's got enough money ever. But if you could miraculously solve one issue in your world of what you do so that you never had to worry about it again, what would that one thing be?
I'm going to go with the thought that just popped in my head. How about
Sure.
parental engagement?
Okay.
When we look at kids and we just put kid A, B, C, and we went down the list, and if you had 50% of those kids who had active, involved, engaged parents, those kids are going to be probably 90 to 100% successful.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you go down the other list and they had parents that weren't engaged, you're probably going to have 50% or less that are going to be successful. And they're going to do it because they're gritty kids that are tough and they're going to show up and they see the advantage and they go, you know what, I'm not going to be that. So I'm just going to get after it and get it done.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I would say that parental
Yeah.
engagement, if we could somehow snap and have every parent go, hey, I want to have a conversation regarding my kid's school today. I want to ask them questions on what they're learning. I want to encourage them. I want to come to the school whenever there's events that are going on and ask teachers questions and be present and involved. And if we had 90% parental engagement, everything we do would be amazing
Yeah. Yeah.
because everybody would raise and rise to that standard. Just
Yeah.
like anybody else. If my school board showed up and worked alongside me, those 7 people came into my office every day, I'd probably be a little bit more efficient and effective. And
Yeah.
so those parents, if they were active and involved like that, it makes us just in response to it, be a little better. And so,
Yeah.
again, that might not be the right answer, but it's the one that popped in
No,
my head.
that's a good answer. I think it's an absolutely great answer. And we work like somebody's watching all the time anyway. It's like it's a part of this position. And we are the one who's responsible. I love that too, because it's like that's the first thing I tell people. It's like if something goes wrong at Lighthouse, the first thing I say is, I'm sorry. Let's figure out what happened and let's fix it, right? Because even though it wasn't anything that I had control over, it's still my responsibility because it's my company and I'm the CEO. So you just and it's important. And if you are a person in leadership and that's not how you look at things, and if you are looking to blame somebody else,
Get out of leadership.
yeah, exactly. Because you're not leading. You're definitely not leading in a way that is productive for your team. And yeah, perfect. Absolutely. So, Chris, where do people go if they have a question for you or if they want to learn more about Quitman ISD?
A quick way to check our school district out is just our website. So quitmanisd.net will get you to our website. We worked really hard the last couple of years. Everything is literally 3 clicks away. So anything you want to look for, you're going to click by the third click, you're on it. So we tried to streamline that pretty well. And then you can follow our Facebook as well. Just Quitman ISD or Independent School District and search it up and you'll see that wonderful bulldog on there. And you'll be able to kind of follow us and all the fun stuff that we got going on. And so I'm not really a big social media person, so I don't really. I used to have a Twitter. That's how long ago I used it,
Yeah.
and it's X now. So
It's X now. Yeah.
if you could reach out to me on X, but I will not answer because I don't even have it on the phone anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
But those are the two easiest way. And then anybody that wants to ask questions or has something, they can always email me. It's masonc@quitmanisd.net. And I would love to talk to anybody and everyone I can about education, and then especially Quitman ISD. So
Yeah. And I'm going to spell Quitman so people know it's Quitman.
that's right.
Quit man, just like quit man. So that way you don't have to struggle trying to figure out was it a D? Was it a T? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Always make sure. Oh, I want what's best for our listeners. That goes back to being the speech therapist in me, right? It's like, let's make sure you have the information and that you can find what you're looking for, because we want you to find it, because honestly, we're brighter together. That's the whole point of this podcast, is to be brighter together. So Chris, thank you again for taking the time, especially at this busy time of year, to have this conversation, because it's been a great conversation. So thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you again.
Yep, you bet.